What's up YouTube, the Adequate Gamer here. I love my NES and I love playing my original Nintendo games on my NES, but there is one thing that hinders me from having full enjoyment of playing these NES games, and that is these old controllers. These old controllers just don't hold up anymore. They were great in their prime, but now the D-pads are drying out. I've tried taking these things apart, cleaning them, replacing the pads, but for the majority, it's just not the same as it was in the 80s. Even these third-party controllers that fail to live up to my expectations, most of these things, the D-pads on them just suck. So I was looking for an alternate solution, and I found these 8BitDo Bluetooth wireless receivers for the original NES. Wireless controllers on your NES. It felt like a weird concept, but I thought, hey, I would give it a shot. So I ordered a couple of them, and we're going to take a look at one of them here. And as you can see, the packaging isn't anything spectacular, but who cares as long as the product is good, right? So the packaging has its name on the front. Flip it over, and on the back, you can see there is a micro USB cable, a very, very small one, and that is for connecting this thing to your PC if you want to update the firmware on it. If we actually take a look at the unit itself, it's a black piece of plastic with goodness inside. It's got the NES port on one side. Flip it over and you have your micro USB connection, you have your sync button, and you have your LED light, which flashes when you're pairing and turns solid when it's working. So we're going to plug these things in to the NES and see how it goes. So I wanted to use these with a couple of Wii remotes because I'm very comfortable holding a Wii remote on its side playing NES games from the Virtual Console days, and the D-pad on the Wii remote is solid. So we're going to sync these things up to the 8BitDos on my NES. Now syncing them up is incredibly easy. You plug these things into your NES, you turn on the power, you hit the sync button on the front of the 8BitDo receiver, and you hit the sync button on the Wii remote, and boom! It pairs almost instantly. Let's do the same thing with the second controller here. So the second controller will sync, but it'll say it's the first controller on the Wii remote, and that's only because the 8BitDo has no idea what port on the NES it's actually plugged into. But there you go, you got your 1-player and your 2-player Wii remotes on the NES. Now, one thing I was curious about was what would happen when you powered off the NES. When you turned it back on, how easy will it be to get these things to connect to each other? Looking at the instructions, it says you only have to hit the 1-2 button on the Wii remote to get it to reconnect to the 8BitDo receiver. But no matter how many times I tried, the thing just would not reconnect once you powered it off and powered it back on. You would always have to resync the Wii remote. Updating the firmware on these things is super easy as well. You download the firmware from the web page, you open up the program, it tells you to plug the receiver into a USB port on your computer while holding down the sync button on the receiver. You'll know you've done this right when the 8BitDo receiver starts flashing green. And from there, you click Update Firmware, and that's as easy as it gets. Once I'd been updated to the latest firmware, I tried again to see if I could reconnect to the receiver after powering down the NES. This time, it connected right away, so I'm super happy about that. So the question that's on everyone's mind is, what kind of input lag does this thing have? Well, we're going to try playing Batman. And Batman, if you've ever played this game, you know you need precision controls. So let's try it out here. Now you're gonna have to forgive me, I am filming the TV screen, and that's just because I don't have a capture device that's capable of capturing the NES. There's no HDMI cable on it, and all my capture devices need HDMI. So not only are we gonna find out how much input lag these Bluetooth receivers have, but I'm also playing it on an LED TV, which has an input lag of about 8 milliseconds. I do have it on game mode to keep it on the least amount of lag. And as you can see, I am blown away on how good these things are. I really don't feel any input lag at all. I know there is some there, but it is very, very minimal and not enough to affect playing this game. In fact, playing this game this way is way better than playing with any NES controller with a wonky D-pad. I'll tell you that right now. So my review for the 8BitDo NES Bluetooth receiver is this thing is incredible. And I love the fact that you can plug 2 of them in and use 2 controllers that way. That was one thing I couldn't find on YouTube. I couldn't find that answer anywhere. A solid answer. Can you use 2 of these with 2 controllers? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. This thing is awesome, and I can't recommend it enough. Buy it if you're a fan of the original NES and you can't stand playing with these wonky old controllers. this is your answer. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is the Adequate Gamer, and we will see you on YouTube.